Good morning, everyone. This is Mitch. Hope you guys are having a great start to your Tuesday and staying safe out there. I'm going to give you an update on what is going to happen here in the weather world as far as severe weather for your Tuesday. There's a lot going on. There's active severe weather ongoing right now, but we're really going to focus in out ahead of it. So areas like Alabama, the Panhandle of Florida, Georgia, and then for South Carolina a little bit later this afternoon. We're going to give you pretty much the cut and dry information, really dive deep into this and figure out what's going to happen, at least showing what the short range models are going to show. So if you guys have not subscribed, definitely consider doing that. Like the video if you like it. I make weather content every single day and try to keep you guys as updated as possible. So I really appreciate you guys giving me a platform to talk about what I love here. Hit me up on Twitter. It's definitely a great way to stay up to date with the constant information, especially on days like this where severe weather is ongoing. Hit me up on Facebook. Also is a great way to keep up to date with what's going on. If you guys got anything I can pray about, please put it in the comments below. Gives me an opportunity to pray over it. Gives others an opportunity to do so too. So let's get going with this. Still an enhanced risk up, stretching all the way from what is going on right now here in Mississippi, even areas of Alabama, stretching all the way, almost all the way to Columbia. Columbia's in a slight risk. Atlanta's in a slight risk. Birmingham's in a slight risk. That's a level 2 out of 5. 5 is obviously the highest. A 5 is considered a high risk. A 4 is a moderate. 3 is an enhanced, which is what we have here for as far as the highest level of severity. This enhanced risk includes areas like Orangeburg, South Carolina, Charleston, Savannah, the entire central area of Georgia, and almost the entire southern area of Georgia, and then the entire southern half of Alabama, and then portions of the Panhandle of Florida. Really what we have to watch out for in these regions down here is a big-time tornado threat. I say big time, it's not like I don't think we have a tornado outbreak on our hands, but a 10% risk down here to see a tornado in 25 miles in any given location. And when you see it, these black lines going through this, that's what we call a hatched area that's up for these regions. So that means you also have a 10% risk to see a stronger tornado, which is considered an EF2 or higher, and it goes all the way up to EF5, which nobody wants to see. So you get a 5% risk surrounding this 10% risk. So this does include Atlanta, Columbia, almost to Birmingham, but tornado risk, I think, is going to also extend into southern South Carolina a little bit later this afternoon and evening. So for my folks in Charleston, I know I live in South Carolina. I will be chasing today. I'm starting to think I don't even know if I'm going to leave the state. If I do, it'll be probably just west of Savannah. I'll probably maybe hang out in this area, but I'll see where I'm going to figure out where I'm going to go. But I don't want to go too far into Atlanta. The way the storms are bowing out, I might miss the main action, and I really want to stay home in my state and keep my guys regionally updated here. But active weather. So let's get going. Let's take a look at the HRRR model and what is going on here. First of all, I'll show you guys what is going on right now. So this is Jackson, Mississippi. These are areas in Mississippi. Really, you have severe thunderstorm warnings up, and there is lightning with this. I don't have the lightning icon up. But this is our system that is going to be moving towards Georgia and South Carolina, the Panhandle of Florida a little bit later. How does this come together? Cape is going to build ahead of this right into this area. You know, and you got your highest tornado threat right probably into this region right here. How does the atmosphere act in front of this energy right here? That is a big question. It's been a question in the Storm Prediction Center as they've been mentioning it the last few days, trying to figure out what's going to happen with this. How does the atmosphere recover right here? You're going to have a low-level jet, kinematics, which is that wind energy. You're going to have the thermodynamics here, but how are they going to overlap each other, right? So going forward here, sorry I keep clearing my throat, guys. Allergies is really kicking my butt the last few days, and it's probably worse today than it has been over the last several days. So please forgive me for that. But let's keep going here. HRRR model doing an okay job of showing what's currently going on here in Mississippi and Alabama. As we're getting going through a little bit later in the morning hours, we're starting to get into about 8, 9 a.m. A lot of heavy rain moves into Birmingham. There is a low-end tornado threat for you guys, but the tornado threat really increases. For my folks in South Carolina, stay tuned. If you want to skip ahead in the video, I'm going to mention you guys. I'm just working from west to east, so I'm going to mention you guys here in a second. We keep this going here. The tornado threat is going to be the highest, where Cape's able to spike down here. We're getting closer to the lunchtime period, so watch out these cells. This line of storms, which kind of gets tailed off, kind of like what happened last week with a line of storms that moved through this area. It's going to tail off, and right here with the dew points are the highest, the Cape is the highest down here. You got a little bit of a low-level jet ramping up in this area. You're going to have a tornado threat down here. Watch out southern areas of Alabama, areas of the western panhandle of Florida as you're getting a little bit later. The NAM and the HRRR model is definitely much different for areas like the panhandle of Florida. The NAM doesn't even really get any storms into the panhandle of Florida. So there's a little bit of a question. It's kind of a now thing. You kind of have to watch what's going on here. But I'll stop this for around lunchtime, around 1 p.m. Your time out here, Central Time. And a lot of heavy rain moving into Atlanta. Let's go on and just switch this to the Georgia time frame. So I'll start this at around 3 p.m. y'all's time out here in Georgia and South Carolina. Look at these nasty storms moving through southeast Alabama, but heavy rain already moving in probably before lunchtime in upstate South Carolina, Georgia definitely. But you start to look here up here in the Midlands of South Carolina. There's a lot of schools that are either delayed or canceled, and things are just different these days. You know, I look back to when I was in school, back in elementary school, probably in the early 2000s, the late 90s. I don't ever remember them canceling school because of severe weather. I think they would cancel school occasionally, obviously, if there was a hurricane coming. But as far as severe weather, I don't remember it much, but maybe my memory's bad with that. But going forward here, this is a pretty nasty line of storms moving through Georgia, central areas of Georgia. Then it's obviously sweeping into southern areas of Georgia. But this is where you watch out for the tornado threat along this line. I don't see any kind of discrete storms, meaning isolated storms that's really able to take full advantage of the environment down here forming. But the dangerous part of this is you're going to have spin-ups along this line all the way up here into the Midlands of South Carolina. But once you get up here, what's interesting is Cape, that storm juice that we talk about, the storm energy, really builds right in here ahead of the storm, especially if the sun comes out here in southern South Carolina, areas of far eastern, the coastal regions of Georgia. The atmosphere gets prime ahead of this energy. So you might have a sweeping area of damaging winds moving through South Carolina. So what I'm trying to say is there is a tornado threat into South Carolina, and especially down here in Georgia, and highest down here in Georgia, along this line of storms where spin-ups can occur. But as far as South Carolina, it's a big wild card here. Southern South Carolina, I'm really watching out here. But up here in the Midlands, for you folks, I really think it's more so heavy rain, maybe some lightning and thunder. How much and how far north does this energy really come together? If it does, then I think the damaging wind threat really becomes high. So you might have a segment of damaging winds moving through around rush hour, around 4 or 5 p.m., depending on where your location is, sometime in the afternoon, right? So this really bows out here, excuse me, as you're getting into the late afternoon, evening hours for areas like, watch out, Summerville, Charleston, Myrtle Beach a little bit later in the evening. This really is like a Boeing segment of a line that really sweeps through, and this looks like a big-time damaging wind threat. But remember, there can be some spin-ups along this line also. A lot of heavy rain with this too. But tornado threat continues down here in Georgia. Not to ignore you guys, but I really think you got to watch out here. Especially, let me tell you, if any Cape builds here in Georgia right here, you're going to have multiple tornadoes that form, and potentially some that are strong EF2 or higher. So moving forward here, we look at the Cape, which is the available energy for these storms to really kind of feed off of. And you see, Cape has a hard time really developing here in Georgia. But there's so many other dynamics in play here. All you need is a little bit to really get the atmosphere going ahead of these storms. But what I really worry about is maybe southeast Alabama around midday. As this energy is moving through, you have surface Cape values reaching well over 1,500 joules per kilogram, close to 2,000 joules per kilogram. Whether that's overdone or underdone, who knows? We'll find out a little bit later this morning. But there's a lot of energy right here in the panhandle of Florida, and in response to those high-end dew points. And the Cape really starts to build here in southern Georgia. So any storms in this area are going to have an atmosphere able to fuel rotating thunderstorms for sure, with a low-level jet ramping up, which I'm about to show you. But check out this right here. You have Cape that really builds very quickly into South Carolina, reaching 1,000 joules per kilogram. And then the energy moving out ahead of it, it's going to feed off that Cape for sure. So we keep this going here, and then that's about it. That's all she wrote. But the significant tornado parameter in response to that Cape, I'll show you, is always going to be highest where it shows that Cape for the most part. So the significant tornado parameter, STP for short, which I don't always show this because a lot of times it's overdone. But I show you this because you overlap this with the Cape, right? So it's highest right here where the Cape is highest, down here in southeast Alabama, which is where I just mentioned, for around midday here in the next several hours. And then it kind of drops off, honestly, right where the Storm Prediction Center has the highest level, the highest chances for a strong tornado, except right here it also has this area too. But then it ramps up really quickly here in southern South Carolina and southeast South Carolina. So, you know, areas just well south of Columbia, like Orangeburg Point south, tornado threat might ramp up for a few hours before this energy heads off the coast later this afternoon and this evening, really briefly before things settle back down. So one thing I'll mention is the atmosphere is going to change completely throughout the day. It really is. And you see this, and what I mean is dew points are waking up in South Carolina, Georgia. Dew points are in the 40s, even areas of Alabama. It's crisp out there, it's cool out there, but you'll notice winds will pick up throughout the day and the humidity will increase. You'll notice if you go out around lunchtime, you'll notice it feels a little bit different to the air, feels a little bit more juicy, especially if you're in areas of Atlanta points south. The dew points start to rise in the 60s, and then as you're getting close to heading home this afternoon, moist sector moves in and dew points are well into the 60s. It's going to be a little humid, and your windows are probably going to fog up. I don't know if it'll be that humid, but it's going to be a lot more humid. Dew points rising into the 60s. So totally different air mass out there for your evening than what you're feeling out there right now. So one thing we'll look at is what you call updraft helicity. So think of this as basically where you can potentially have rotating thunderstorms. Just because you see a dash, a slash, or highlighted area through your area, that don't mean that's where a tornado is going to track. That's where you have a rotating updraft. So that's where a storm is potentially rotating. I don't mean that it's making it to the surface as a tornado. It just means where you can have a rotating storm. So I'll move this through the entire run. And basically all these storms are going to have a chance to rotate all down here. So that's why you have that enhanced risk down here. Damaging winds, you know, that's the biggest threat. And, you know, one thing I did not mention is the damaging wind threat now has a 45% chance. I really wish I would have mentioned that in the beginning of the video. But damaging wind threat continues to be the biggest threat with this. And, you know, a lot of times when they open up this 45% risk, that opens up the opportunity for a moderate risk. So 45% risk to see damaging winds in this area right down here in Georgia and Alabama. So it's a really big deal here. But this is going to be a quick moving low level jet associated with this energy. So the line of storms is draping across here. Low level jet will be ramping up ahead of the storm, pushing, you know, 40, 50 knots maybe. So it'll be spinning these updrafts. So we need to be safe this afternoon and this evening. I know a lot of folks here where I live here in South Carolina are concerned. I don't anticipate this being a major outbreak or anything like that, but it's obviously enough for them to pull the trigger on schools. So be safe out there. God bless all y'all. And I'll try to get y'all update this evening. It really depends on how quick I get back. I'll be out in the field storm chasing, but I probably will get back in time to make y'all a quick video on what is going to happen tomorrow. So y'all have a good day. Stay safe.